Devin Pike with the Dallas International Film Festival, and a large width and breadth of dramatic film, narrative flicks that you don't generally get a chance to see in your local multiplex, which is one of the reasons we love putting the festival on every single year. And films that jump out of the box. They don't generally fit into one category or another. One of those cases is We Gotta Get Out of This Place. You could pile it into the coming of age film bracket, you could pile it into the crime family bracket, but it jumps back and forth and does so in an incredibly entertaining fashion. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves and tell us how you came to get this film out to us.
Oh my God, that's a long story. I'm Nick Robinson. This is John Lang. He's co-producer, I'm associate producer on We Gotta Get Out of This Place. And God, it's been a long time.
Yeah, the film was kind of a long time coming. One of the other producers, Justin Dupree, is from the Corpus Christi area. And so when the fourth producer, Brian Udovich, when Brian and Justin partnered up and Brian went down to visit for the first time, they saw the Portland Taft area across the bay. And Justin had grown up there, so it was what he'd known all along. But Brian saw this place that was like, this place is totally untapped and totally cinematic, and we need to shoot a movie down here. And that's really where the idea came from. And it was sort of like going through, a whole like litany of scenarios, like what kind of like cool, genre story could we tell down here? Because those are the kind of movies that we like to make. And that was really, the start of the film.
And you didn't want to make a zombie film because everybody was already doing that.
God, no.
No, and we're not. None of us are really horror guys. Like we're kind of badass guy with a gun. Charles Bronson. Sopranos, like crime film.
Rolling
type
Thunder
guys.
sort of
Rolling
stuff.
Thunder. Yeah, totally.
That's the one. Like,
So as you're looking for a script for this, did We Gotta Get Out of This Place just jump out at you as like, okay, this is the perfect script, or did you have to tailor it for the location just because you knew you had the location first and went in the right direction?
We had to find a writer. It's like we had the idea, we had the general concept, and then we had to find someone who could pull it off. And fortunately, Dutch Southern, the writer, is a good friend of ours. He is writing for everybody right now, and he just did us the greatest favor. And we told him the idea, we're trying to find someone, and he got back to us 2 weeks later. He goes, "Hey, I kind of already wrote the first act." He took it upon himself. He was just that motivated by the concept, and he took it from there, and it was great working with him. And
yeah, he pounded out a first draft in I think 6 weeks, and it was a draft that we could already go into pre-production on. So really, it took a lot longer to find the right director than it did to go from idea to first draft once Dutch got on board.
Did the location prove to be problematic? I mean, generally when you find a location like that, it's like, why has no one ever done a flick here? And you generally find out why over the course of the production.
Yes and no. Number one, it is very hard to record sound outside at the windiest place in the United States. That proves to be a problem. But we had connections there because of Justin. The entire town embraced us. We were sleeping at people's houses. Our production designer kicked a 9-year-old out of his bed, was sleeping there. Because we had an inn, it worked out pretty well, but I think they would be pretty receptive. But it's just a place you don't think about.
Yeah, and Dutch, when he was writing the script, he'd actually never been there, but he had a couple hundred photos of 40 different locations. We were like, this is the idea, and these are the places we have access to. Use whatever you want, or don't use it. And so it really was tailored to, most people, they're like, oh, I'm going to do a small film and tailor it to what I have access to. Okay, my parents' house. It all takes place in one location. Well, we had a whole town and a farm and everything to pull from for this.
Let's talk a little bit about the cast, and specifically William Devane. He's been a guest of our festival a couple of times. Amazing actor. Talk about having an actor of that caliber in that role for the film.
It was kind of scary because we didn't get to pre-meet him, he basically came on and showed up and did it. And it's William Devane, it was kind of scary. It's I've seen this guy kill so many people in so many ruthless ways. It's I don't want to, but he couldn't be a nicer guy. We put him up in a nice hotel. He was pissed off because of that. He's this is independent film. Put me in some rattle. I don't care.
So that, and no, having met William, I'm sure rat hole wasn't exactly the word.
Yeah, I'm trying to be friendly here.
Well, now he's in the summer he's president of the United States in the new 24 series. So you had the president in your flick. So
he has the gravitas for it, that's for sure.
No, gravitas is all that show is. So now your international sales just go through the roof for it on that. Would you recommend, having gone through the experience now, would you recommend your location being the basis for your film to anybody else who's a producer saying, okay, if you ever have the opportunity to do this, either do it immediately or never do this?
I've actually this year seen several location-driven films, and when it's something you've never seen before, when it has a complete different way of life, it automatically just makes it so compelling for me. You know, like, how do people on the tundra live? Like, I can just watch people do their day-to-day, and it's like, this doesn't really need to tell so much of a story. Like, this is fascinating, So it can be a real boom, I believe.
Yeah, I think, not to other people, not our location specifically, but
yeah,
for
don't
us,
use ours. It's
us,
ours.
Yeah, for us specifically, but for anyone that, it was just all about having access to something that like no one else had access to. Like no one else living down there was like, oh, we're gonna make this teen heist film. We're gonna make a film and use this interesting landscape. So I think it really is like realizing like what do you have that no one else does? Like no one in Hollywood is gonna go to South Texas and shoot under the conditions that we shot under. So anytime you find something like that, that's something you should be taking advantage of. It's kind of like, I'm sure, Q&As, people are like, oh, what's the budget of your film? Well, I'll tell you, it's a really low budget movie, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the value we were able to cull from it. Like you can't take our budget and then be like, oh, well, they did it for this, so I can construct my own business plan around that. It doesn't really work that way. And someone else can, might have access to something in, Dallas or Houston or El Paso or wherever, that no one else has access to. And that's really what it's about, is taking advantage of that.
That's a really professional answer.
We're working on that in the hotel room.
Yeah. That's surprising.
When you bring a film like this to Dallas International and you get to show it to audiences for the first time, what's going through your head as you're sitting in the back of the theater? I know I've asked this question of actors, and you ask it of directors. It's like, well, you hope they laugh in the right place, or you hope that they cringe in the right places. But as a producer, what goes through your heads?
Oh God, they better like this.
Yeah.
That's like I remember the first screening. We premiered at Toronto Film Festival, and I'm in this huge 800-seat plus theater, and it's just such a vacuum, and it goes on, and it's like the movie backwards and forwards, and like it's not funny at the beginning, and so like there's not really these like audience hits that let you know like it's coming, and I'm just like, oh God, I have no idea how these people feel about this thing at all. Oh my God. It's a little bit terrifying. But then like as soon as like some things happen, it's like the audience responds and you're just like, the wave of relief just washes over you. You're like, okay, I can relax. Yeah. This is good.
You're like, all right, they're in. But I don't know, it's interesting. At Toronto, I didn't think it was that nerve-wracking because we were showing the movie to like a room full of strangers. So you wanted them to like it, but you didn't actually know the people there. But then when we premiered in LA and then today, it's going to be a theater full of people we know. That's a little more nerve-wracking.
My parents are watching it for the first time today.
Yeah.
Is that worse than a room full of strangers?
No, my parents are really supportive. I know they're going to complain about the use of curse words, but
because you wrote it, obviously.
Like it's like any project that I've done, that's been their biggest complaint is just the curse words.
Well, you can catch what's the Texas premiere tonight?
Yes.
National, global, Texas.
Dallas, North Texas premiere?
Yeah, North
Texas premiere. Yeah.
It's the Mockingbird Station premiere. We got to get out of this place tonight at the Angelica, and you can catch more information of it at dallasfilm.org. Thank you for bringing this to the festival, and guys, welcome to Texas once again. Now, are you both? You're both from here, so you're staying at your parents' house.
Yeah.
Did I catch that right?
Yeah, I went to high school in Coppell.
So
been going to the Angelica since 2002.
Well, thanks for bringing the film out to it, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.